Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a paid request, this time for Manuel. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested, requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for The Northman from 2022. From the director of The Witch and The Lighthouse. Now, for those who don't know, I hate those two movies. The Witch I find laughable, like a lot of those type of horror movies, like Hereditary, Midsommar, and a lot of people find them scary. That's cool. To each their own. Different tastes, different opinions. I think The Witch, or The Vivitch, as sometimes it looks, The Vivitch, it was laughable and it was goofy. It's like Hereditary. People get scared. I'm laughing because like one person got their head ripped off. Like, if you've seen the film, you know who. I laughed in the movie's face. And then with the one kid, the way this older kid reacted, and then the Burger King crown at the end, I was laughing. Midsommar, from the very beginning, I'm like, wow, if MacGyver tried to end himself, he'd do it this way. I'm like, wow, this is a more intricate way of doing it. With the pipes and the car pipes. I'm like, damn, MacGyver would be proud of you. I laughed. Or just was laughing at the stupidity of the characters and then The Lighthouse. You know what I remember about The Lighthouse? Willem Dafoe jerking off, coming and almost hitting Robert Pattinson in the face. Because that's what happens in the movie. He's listening to Willem Dafoe jerking off. Squish, squish, screws. Gusher, gusher, squirt, squirt. Here's the splooge. Creeping down, almost hitting Robert Pattinson in the face. Ready to begin with Bukaki. I thought it was boring as hell. Sorry, just my opinion. Now, I would say I like this more than those two. Did I love this film? No. At times it felt like kind of a Game of Thrones. It honestly made me want to rewatch Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But do I think it's awful? No. It's got some nice visual touches. Has this one sweeping shot, trying to do in one take, as this village is attacked and raided. There's this weird drug trip scene where a kid's looking at his father and the chest opens up to like a heart, but then in the same shot goes up to all these hanging bodies. Nice trippy visual. It does have brutality in it. There's decapitations. There's a really nasty bit where one guy has his nose gone. There's a bit with a sword going into a guy's face that was very gnarly. Like, ooh, shit. There's this game that's played that's brutal, where our lead goes into headbutt central. I mean, there's a sword fight in a volcano in its finale. There's some neat moments. So, I can at least say I liked those moments, and I liked it more than The Green Knight. It was not as boring. It was not as boring to me as The Green Knight. And I don't care about the last duel and its 3-hour running time. If people want to send a request for that, I'm like, no, I'm sorry, man. It either have to be a lot of money or not at all. Because I don't... not really my kind of movie. Because really, Scott, the last decent thing he did was what? The Martian. But anyway, back to this. The story is nothing to run home about. A kid is the son of a king, played by Ethan Hawke, and his wife is played by Nicole Kidman, the queen. So this kid, the father is returned, the teen is returned, and bonds with his son in this weird scene, this drug trip scene, where Willem Dafoe is in it as the jester, and for some reason, the father and son start how do I put it? Growling and acting like dogs. And then the dad burps, and the son farts, and the dad tells the son, like, he sniffs the fart. I sound so goddamn stupid saying this out loud. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm listening to myself saying this out loud. Christ. Sniffs the fart and goes, "I smell a clever pupil." I swear there are parts of this movie that feels like it's trying to be a fucking parody. Like, that screams like a parody. The amount of times people growl and roar and scream, or they run around a bonfire and whoop and holler, whoop, 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 there it is, whoop, there it is, shakalaka, shakanaka, whoop, there it is, whoop, there it is. I waited for that fucking song to play. I like that song. Probably make the scene better. It just, at times, it does feel like a parody at times. Am I supposed to laugh at it? The only time I laughed at Conan Barbarians was when he punched the shit out of the camel. I think I was supposed to laugh. Here, so the teen gets killed by his brother. The kid runs off. Fucks up a guy's face, his nose. Vows vengeance. Cut to, he's an adult. He's with the Vikings. They raid and pillage a village. They're doing just as bad things as the villains. Then he finds out from the seer, played by Björk. Yes, Björk. And he decides to get vengeance for what happened to his father after all these years. He goes on a boat. He meets this girl, Olga. They don't quickly fall in love. Gets to the land where that brother who killed his dad, he is now the ruler, and Nicole Kidman's his new wife. And pretty much, it's a lot of, like, boring stuff in the middle. It really, like, trudges along slowly in the middle of the film. Until finally, this guy who hoops and hollers as well, and then tosses the fucking decapitated head of Willem Dafoe. I was so hoping it'd be like 8 heads in a duffel bag. If you never seen that movie with Joe Pesci, there's a fucking scene where Joe Pesci, he's supposed to have these 8 heads for this mob boss. And there's a fucking dream scene where he wakes up and the heads start talking and moving, and then they start singing. Mr. Hitman, see me a dream. Mr. Hitman, I have nobody to call my own. I was ready for that's too bad they didn't actually have the mouth and eyes move. Like, that would have put it over the top. But no, you just hear Willem Dafoe's voice. And it's to get this sword as this sword that will help him win the day. And in order to do so, he goes to this location, fights this figure. You know, alright fight. You know, it's not badly edited or anything. Decent lighting. And when he wins the fight, it's a good scene transition where he decaps the figure. Then the camera pans to him standing in front of the pile of bones, as if maybe this was like in the mind. It's just like a battle in the mind in order to overcome, or any other, or just a good scene transition, interesting one. So he gets the sword. Oh, before that, he plays that brutal game of It's not football, but I forget what the game is called. Where they just beat the shit out of each other. And at one point, the guy tries to kill a kid, and he headbutts the guy to oblivion. Well, actually, maybe that happened after he got the sword. See, that's the thing. This movie's already forgetting my memory banks. He's in love with Olga. Spoiler alert. I'll spoil the film. Screw it. Spoilers. He's in love with Olga. She's pregnant with kids. He wants vengeance on what happened to his dad. Nicole Kidman admits that she got raped and that's why she had the kid, and she never really loved the kid. She never really loved her husband. So she fine with him and them dying and getting killed off. So Nicole Kidman's a villain as well. Then she tries to seduce her own son, and the son, of course, freaks out and pushes her away. Just to a point where he kills some people. At one point, goes to a hut. You find their bodies, like, kind of pretty gory visual of the bodies hung up, stringed up for the bad guys to see. There's another little bit where did a nice camera, trying to do one-track camera movement, where the guys find all these people getting killed. The lead kills him by jamming a sword right into his face. To me, the gnarliest bit in the movie. He goes up, and I guess his wife got killed, and I still don't understand 100% how his wife got there, because the last time we saw him, they were on a boat. So I guess she decided to say fuck it and ride off after him, because he finds her dead, and I think it's her, I don't know who else it would be, and this is after he's killed Nicole Kidman and this other person, and goes off after the bad guy, or badder guy. Interesting visual of a horse having his head cut off on the ground. I mean, this is, again, a brutal movie. Has some interesting visuals. Fight in the volcano. He wins. He dies of his wounds. And goes to Valhalla. His spirit does. And that's why I wasn't sure, like, he has a vision of his wife with 2 kids. But is that in the spirit world? Is that, because it looked like she was dead on the ground. If that was someone else, it looked like it was her dead. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize. I don't think this film's awful. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think the film's awful, but number one, not every damn film has to be over 2 hours long. I don't know what it is that filmmakers don't get. This overindulgence of running times. I liked The Batman, but that's one of my issues with it. I liked Sonic the Hedgehog too, but that's one of my issues with it. Not every fucking film needs to be over 2 hours long. Like, come on now. And the middle was fairly boring. Alexander Skarsgård as the lead. I mean, he was in good shape, I'll say that. He was in very good shape. I'm not really big on him as an actor. I mean, he was in The Legend of Tarzan. He was in Kong vs. Godzilla. So you have more films I didn't care for. I watched this over those. But, I mean, have I seen worse? Yes. So I could deal with him, if I'm being fair. I get it. not people will say not every film needs sympathetic characters. I get what you mean. I get it. I understand. Does every single film need sympathetic characters? It's just I can only view my own personal preference. Yes, there are films I like that don't have a lot of sympathetic characters, but that's not my preference. My preference is to have people that I like and care about, because when I'm with them on the journey, that makes the journey more interesting for me. That makes the journey more intriguing for me. That's why I would probably rather watch Pathfinder or Carl Urban over this. Well, that's a film that I hate. But yeah, honestly, I like Carl Urban in that film more than this film. And again, people get mad at me. I'd rather watch Pathfinder than this. Like, if you tell me which I would rather watch again. Because I was more invested in Carl Urban's character and liked him more. I did. You're not supposed to like the character. I did it. I did it. I did it. For people to say I did it. Again, it just comes down to personal preference. So when I don't care about anybody, I feel no sympathy for anybody, for me, it just makes the story less interesting. Yes, a film can achieve that through other variables. Yes, there's an exception to every rule. Every rule there's an exception. Or almost every rule, I'll say that. Almost every rule. Again, because there's no sympathy of characters, it just makes it not that interesting for me to witness this story. Again, it's a story that is almost The Lion King. I mean, if you think about The Lion King, it's almost the same story as this. Prince to a teen, the teen dies, he runs off, he's going to seek vengeance, he comes back, he meets someone, falls in love. Well, in Lion King, he met her when he was a kid, but I mean, so meets her again. But when he comes back, is in love, fights the one who killed his father, kills him at the end. Only, in this case, the ending's a bit different. And this one's a lot more violent. You imagine if you want to remake The Lion King like they remade it, sure remade it like this and make it that brutal. Can you imagine Lion King but being fucking brutal and R-rated? Then I would watch your remake. Or then I would, well, I did watch it, I think, because it was a request. Then I would give a shit about your remake. There you go. You want to do all these damn remakes, make them R-rated. You get a lot more intrigue from people. Okay, we'll see what the fuck this is. It may be bad, but it'll be a what the fuck bad. Simba, ripping people's throats out. Or, ripping the hyena's throats out. Simba's dad gets killed, is roasted on a fire and eaten. Sure, I just gave people nightmares. But, so it's not like it's a story that you haven't seen before or since. I mean, yeah, that's unfair. You just say that for a lot of stories. I understand. But it's just as I watch this, I'm going, okay, I'm not supposed to care about anybody, so I don't really care about anybody. And so it makes the journey for vengeance less interesting. Maybe during the like I said, the raid on the village early on, when Alexander Skarsgård, the son as an adult, I mean, they're doing stuff as bad as the bad guys, so I'm like, well, I'm fine with you dying too. I will say this definitely shows that back in the day was much more of a dire circumstance than that one movie I did the commentary on. Was it the one that Neil Marshall directed? I forget what the hell it was called already. But Neil Marshall did a film about a girl being tried as a witch. At least this one didn't have people looking like their hair was part of Sassoon, and they had makeup all the time. So I'll say this portrayed that era much more fitting than what the hell Neil Marshall was doing in that movie. The movie that I can't even remember, that I literally did a commentary on a week ago because it was a request. So that's what I mean, like, I don't mind the brutality and the violence and, again, some of the visuals. But again, the constant grunting and yelling and roaring and take a drink anytime someone's around a fire, whooping and out, whoop, 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 ready for someone to do a crazy, whoop, 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 whoop. The, burping, farting, acting like dogs scene early on. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And, like I said, the very mundane, boring middle section of the movie. There are nice moments. The volcano fight, the sword in the face, the sweeping shots of the attacks. I guess, honestly, for me, I would have liked more action. Weird to see Björk in the film. Although I don't mind the design, like the costume design, because she has no eyes, and these things kind of look like her eyes, with the way the dress is. That was a nice visual. So, like, I don't mind the costumes in this. I don't mind the cinematography, the lighting. I thought for this kind of film, for this setting and time frame, it worked. I think the lighting, like when he fights this figure in this, I almost want to say cave, but maybe cave type of setting. Didn't mind that. And the lighting is very important in that scene for a plot reason. I mean, compared to a lot of like PC pussified stuff, I just see why people would really enjoy the film. The film bombed when it came out. That's the thing, and I knew it would bomb. How did I know? Track record. Last Duel, whether people liked it or not, that bombed. I mean, what was the last Viking film that was a hit? Green Knight, did that make any money? Don't think so. It didn't deserve it because it wasn't that good. And again, let me stress, I would rather watch this than The Green Knight. Because The Green Knight, the entire movie was boring. This, I don't think the beginning and ending were boring. Again, there was times it was making me laugh, but it wasn't boring. And I'm trying to... Again, when was the last Viking type? I mean, I guess people expect because Game of Thrones. But even then, like, I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. Just that type of... This era is not really my cup of tea when it comes to movies. I don't search out for them. I like the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan films. There's others as well, but I guess I'm much more of like a present time or future time type of setting. But there are exceptions, like there's westerns I enjoy, and there's always exceptions to the rule. But, yeah, when was the last time a film like this was a hit? Remember when Ridley Scott did Robin Hood? I know they're different time frames. I'm saying, whether in the era of swords or the era of bow and arrows, when was the last time that type of film was a hit at the box office? That's about the exact time frame. I'm saying... that stuff back to the day, those films tend to flop. They have tended to flop. I mean, Russell Crowe, Robin Hood. Then they do another Robin Hood years later. Was it Guy Ritchie or someone else did it? I know like Taron Egerton, Jamie Foxx was in it. No one saw that fucking movie. No one saw The Last Duel. Green Knight didn't do much. I mean, these films don't do well, so I don't know what people are expecting. You're putting like $90 million into this. I could have told you it was going to bomb. And again, I know a lot of people like the film, but I bet there's some people that were laughing at some of this shit. So, I don't know, I mean, it was, at the very best, it was a time waster. I don't hate the film. I don't. I do not hate the film. Just people don't assume I do. For people who get the wax out of their ears, like I said, the cinematography and the lighting, I don't mind. I like some of the tracking shots, the camera work. The brutality is nice to see. in a bigger budget film. I mean, that sword going to the face was a very gnarly scene. Actually made me wince, like, ooh, shit. That was a nice reaction to have. Thank you, movie, for that. Alexander Skarsgård, I mean, at least he looked the part and did what he was told to do. You know, efficiently enough. Some of the lines of dialogue, I mean, furnish this fierce-hearted slayer of men with drink. You know, that type of dialogue. Decent costumes. Pretty decent brutality. Again, it's a plot that you've seen many times before. The pacing, I think, was sluggish, especially in the middle. I get it that movies don't need to have sympathetic characters. Many people have told me that. I get it. And yes, there are films I've enjoyed that have showcased that. This, though, I really did not find the characters that interesting or that intriguing. Also, not likable either. That's it. At least for me, give me something. Either if they're not likable, then make them intriguing. I didn't really find them interesting or intriguing. That's just me. And I think it's got some cool parts, but it's just not a cool hole. It's a hot hole. No, just... It is what it is. And... You know how you get those feelings that you're watching a film, and it's like, okay, this isn't bad, but I just don't care? That's kind of the feeling I got while watching this film. And that's more than I can say for The Lighthouse and The Witch, so... It's funny, I know some people got mad because they said this was a sellout movie. The director sold out. Well, didn't work out of the box office, but it got good critical and IMDb notices, so... But yeah, I already watched The Lighthouse and The Witch, I'll give you that, but... Like I said at the beginning, it made me want to go back to rewatch Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. As silly as it is, I'd probably rather watch Red Sonja, but that's more nostalgia than anything. Yeah, before people get mad, that I will admit that's more nostalgia. And that's a movie I could laugh at too. But with that said, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.